This is the Sons of UCF, the number one place for UCF sports, with your distinguished hosts, Adam.
Let's all get together and see who can solve the Wordle the fastest.
And Mike.
You know, last year I think I said about 30 people in the UCF Sons of UCF group. Let's try to double that. Let's try to get 50.
Now, here are the guys.
All right, we are back, and dare I say, better than ever. Episode number 172 of the Sons of UCF. My name is Adam, and as always, my friend and yours, Mr. UCF Mike, back for yet another week. Mike, welcome back, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I
never ask you how you're doing.
I know you don't. I'm doing well. I'm glad. Thank you for asking. I'm doing well. I'm excited about the tonight's show. We've got it's gonna be old school show, Mike. It's just me and you. Just me and you. Just a couple of guys, a couple of UCF guys cutting it up, you know?
The way we used to do it. You know, the first couple episodes that we ever did, I think the shows were only about 40 minutes, 45 minutes that first season. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about the games and everything, and we wrapped it up in under an hour. Yeah. And now we're doing like 2-hour extravaganzas every week, plus a live show, plus all this other stuff. So it's a lot of stuff we're doing now.
Let's
Maybe
get weird.
This one will be a little shorter.
Yeah, you never know. We always say that, and then, who knows what's going to happen. Like, but before we do any of that, you know what I got to tell everybody about? That's right, Manscaped. Sons of UCF is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer. That's the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, 4.0. Over 4 million men worldwide trust Manscaped. We have an exclusive offer for you now, 20% off plus free worldwide shipping. When you go to manscaped.com, enter promo code Sons of UCF, manscaped.com, promo code Sons of UCF. Mike, on this particular episode, we're going to talk some basketball. Things did not go well over the weekend. Last week, if you listened to this, Mike and I had somehow talked our way into UCF being like a 22-win team, breaking their way into the NCAA tournament. Boy, things did not turn out in our favor. We'll discuss that. Baseball had a nice showing this weekend, Mike. The record may not indicate it, but I think overall it was a nice weekend for UCF baseball. We'll talk about that. As you're listening to this, we are about a week away from spring football camp starting. And Mike and I, we're going to go down the run, top 5 list style. What else would you expect from us? The top 5 players we are most interested in watching and keeping a close eye on during spring practice. We have that coming up for you. And don't forget Cow of the Week. That's all action-packed. That's all here in episode 172. Mike, I'm exhausted just thinking about that already.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. So we got a lot of stuff to discuss, which maybe this show will be 2 hours long.
Oh boy, I'll clear my calendar. I'll see what I can do, Mike. Let's start here. Basketball. We were on last week, and we said, hey, we've got 2 games left. We knew what we had to do. If we basically won at Tulane last Thursday, we get that bye in the American Conference Tournament. We'd be feeling good about ourselves, right? Tulane comes and goes. We lose 82-67. We weren't really in it. I mean, there were some pockets of time that we played okay. But I think the bad news started off early, Mike, and I feel like we are under-reporting this story. I have no inside information on this one, Mike, but Darren Green Jr. did not play. From what we understand, I don't know if he was injured. It was just basically announced before the game that Darren Green is not going to play. He did not play, of course. And as you can imagine, things went about as well as you would expect. UCF loses that one 82-67. I mean, we played a decent second half, but we were down 34-18 at halftime. Obviously, without Darren Green, our chief scorer on the year, we just didn't muster much offensively. And that was a bit of a dud, Mike. And Tulane waxes us on their home floor. So before we move forward, I know you were probably frustrated watching that game. I was certainly frustrated watching that Tulane game.
Yeah, that was a rough one. I started it a little late, and we were already down big by the time I turned it on. Never even got a chance to get into the game. We were down 20 points. Yeah. And it was a late game there, and I gave up with about 4 minutes to go. There was no way we were coming back, and just shut that whole thing off. It was very hard to watch.
Yeah, it sure was. And I still don't know if we got any clarity on what happened to Darren Green. I don't want to start rumors. Maybe he was injured and I missed it. Was he suspended, Mike? Did he disciplinary reasons? Like, why was he not able to play? We obviously needed him. Darius Johnson shot 3 of 11 from the field. Darius Perry 4 of 13. Ty Freeman 1 of 9 from the field. not exactly a great turn from an offensive standpoint, and defensively, just not much there. Tulane seemed to get anything they want. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys score in double figures, including one guy. He only played 12 minutes off the bench. He had 13 points, Mike. It was just a bloodbath from the get-go. But, hey, you know what? All is not lost. There was an outside chance. Some weird things had to happen, Mike. But all we had to do was take care of Tulsa at Tulsa. Remind me again, Mike, how do we usually play when we're at Tulsa?
Not very well. It's a house of horrors, football, basketball. I think we've won maybe, one game in basketball in the last couple of seasons, or ever. I think it happened last year. And then football we've never won over there. So.
Yeah. So, all right, well, hey, you know what? Let's trot it out. You know what? That's what they do. They roll the balls out and they play. And in this game, obviously, no Brendan Mahan, of course. He's been out still with that ankle injury. Still no word yet on what his plan is. Stay close to our live show on Wednesday this week, and maybe we'll have an update for you at that point in time, Mike. But no Brandon Mahan. Isaiah Adams gets a start. Darius Perry comes off the bench, which was interesting, Mike. 3 minutes into the game, Isaiah Adams is injured. Isaiah Adams is off the court, Mike. And that's probably the first problem we have is this was a team last year that we saw just how much the depth hurt us. We were only playing like 6, 7 guys at a time. Coming into the season, I think we felt like we had a much deeper team when you add some of these guys in, right? You added Tony Johnson, you added Sean Mobley. You know, we were very high on Ty Freeman. You know, you have Jameel Reynolds, you have Dre Fuller. So I think we thought we had a deep team, Mike, but that did not come to pass here quickly on this particular game. So Isaiah Adams goes out early. All's not lost, though, Mike. We have a 36-27 halftime lead. Things are looking up, right? Like, you got to feel good being up, 9 at halftime. I mean, that feels like a nice recipe for success.
Yeah, you sign up for that every single time, especially on the road against a team like Tulsa, where you said we struggle over there all the time. So I'll take a 9-point lead any day. But it didn't turn out.
About that 9-point lead. A lot of good stuff first half. We were shooting 42% from 3 and like 100% at the line. Imagine that, 6 for 6 at the free throw line. So things are looking good. We start the second half. At one point in the second half, Mike, UCF is up by 10. There's by 14. About 10 minutes to go to the game. UCF's actually up 10. You're thinking things are good, but Tulsa just kept kind of hanging around, chipping away. Before you know it, it comes down to the wire, and this thing is awfully close. Here's a gross second half stat for you. Are you ready for this? 6 of 6 free throws in the first half, Mike. Second half, 3 of 12.
Yeah,
25%. From the free throw line in the second half, and unfortunately, it became a battle of free throws. And here's the first thing I want to ask you about. UCF is up 3, and Tulsa's inbounding the ball, and obviously they're on the opposite end of the court, so you have to go length of the court. There's about 5-6 seconds left on the clock, like 5.7, something like that. Ball comes in, and Darius Perry immediately fouls. So he fouls in the backcourt, and in the front court. Brings Tulsa to the line. I don't know if Johnny assumed that they would hit one and try to get the rebound or try to get something in a tip. So the kid hits both free throws, and then it becomes a free throw shooting contest. And Darius Perry seemed to be the guy who went to the line, and both times he basically went 1 for 1 from the free throw line. And we obviously not shooting the ball well from the line, continued to try to make it a free throw contest. That did not turn out well, Mike. But let me pause for a second. Up 3, fouling to put them on the line. You like that or you don't like that?
Oh, I get where he's trying to do there, but force them to make a 3-point shot. No, instead of putting them on the line and stopping the clock to shorten the game. You're doing that. You do that when you're behind, not when you have the lead. I say play defense, and if they hit a 3, it ties the game. Not the way it ended up. We ended up losing in regulation. So obviously it was the wrong decision.
Well, there's a lot of people in analytics who say that that's the right play. Up 3, you foul and you make them go to the line and make them all or whatever. But that then turns it into a free throw contest where you have to have your guys shooting well from the line. To your point, if we don't foul and they go down and they drill a 3, right? All we're doing, we're facing overtime at that point. And it's not like we're up 2. And 3 can beat us. At that point, obviously, we can only go to overtime. So looking at the hindsight of it, like you would have liked to have seen us let that one play out. Of course, we don't. And we go back and forth, miss free throws, Mike. Then with about 5 seconds to go, some bleep hole on Tulsa. What's his name really quickly? I should probably know this. Jeriah Horn hits a half-court 3-point shot at the buzzer. UCF goes down 73-72 to Tulsa. Any hopes of that bye were obviously dashed really midway in the game because Temple and the Cows game was going a certain way. But, Mike, is that a soul-crushing loss, or is that something you just shake off? I don't know. We talk about all the time. Would you rather lose early and just be out of it like we were at Tulane, or would you rather get your heart broken? This one just feels like one of those that is this going to have some layover, some carryover, some bad juju going forward, because that's just a brutal way to lose a game.
Yeah, that is rough. A shot from half court, those very rarely go into it. Even though nowadays it's more common, right? Guys are hitting those shots routinely. I saw a clip of a high school game.
Yeah.
Where these two kids went back and forth and shot from half court like 6 times in a row, and they made them all.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not that hard of a shot. But that's a rough way to go, man. To me, I'd rather just get my ass kicked like we did against Tulane on Thursday. I can go to bed early and not really worry about it. This one hurts more. I've got top 5 soul-crushing losses of the last
Oh my
few years.
God! I wasn't. Oh wow. Okay, hold on. I wasn't ready for a top 5 this early, but let me get the sound effects moving here. You catch me off guard all the time with these things, but that's why we love you around here. So top 5. This is soul-crushing losses.
Last second, soul-crushing, heartbreaking losses, and I just limited it to like the last 6 years or so. So going back, if you want to call it like the Twitter generation, all the young guys on Twitter know all these games, right? They've been around because it's only been the last few years. I'm not going all the way back. There were some bad ones when we were coming up.
All right, so this is an exclusive top 5 list that only covers a handful of years. All right, the number 5 soul-crushing loss, Mike, is what?
2016 at-home football against Temple.
Oh, yes.
Remember this game?
26-25. Of course I do.
Oh, my God. They came right back down and stole that one from us. That was a bad one. But the only good thing about that is it kept the Cows out of the championship game. So there was at least something good came out of that.
And that catch,
that
catch Temple made, P.J. Walker, I think, was the quarterback. That throw, that catch, I think Neville Clark was the defender. It was like over on his back, over the other guy's shoulder. It wasn't even like a well drawn up play. It was more just like a holy bleep kind of a catch. But that's a good one. That was a good soul crusher.
Number 5. Number 4 was this season, the game in Louisville. And I mean, we're coming off beating Boise. We beat Bethune. We're 2-0. We're rolling. The offense looks good. We get the ball to start the game. We're throwing bombs. We're scoring touchdowns. Everything's looking good. And then, it's a back and forth game. We get our shot. We get a turnover with under a minute to go. We get the ball back. We're driving to go down to field goal range. Ball bounces off of Amari Johnson's shoulder, goes the other way for a touchdown. That was devastating, and that set the tone. And then all the injuries that happened. Dylan Gabriel gets hurt on the last play, and it kind of just, sends the season in a different direction. That's number 4.
I thought you had that one higher, Mike, because that, like we talked about this before, I think that game single-handedly just turned the entire season on its head, right? All the injuries, like you talked about, obviously that turns out to be the last ball that Dylan Gabriel ever throws at UCF, by the way. I guess he threw one more, if you want to count that lateral. Did he even throw that? I don't even know. But obviously that's the last time he's on the field at UCF. If that doesn't happen, not only that, we're also marching down for the symmetry of kicking a field goal to win at Louisville again, 38-35, which would have matched the score from 2013. That was a soul crusher. That one had a lot of impact. You got to think back. I'm sure we'll do this next year on a show. Just losses that have such a lasting impact. That changed a lot about UCF football and that night at Louisville. So I guess if you got three better, you got 3 better. I can't wait.
You know what? Maybe that one could have flipped with the next one.
Okay.
But it's definitely not worse than the number 1 and number 2.
Okay.
All right. So this next one was Memphis in 2020, the Obarski missed field goal game.
Mm-hmm.
That was brutal. I mean, we had 650 yards of offense. I think Dylan Gabriel alone, 600 something yards.
601 passing, yeah.
Yeah, and then he ran for another 50. So just horrible back and forth game, another shootout. We've gotten used to coming on the right side on those against Memphis. That was the one we lost, and we had a chance there. Obarski hits the kick and, changes everything, but he misses, and then there's a fight on the sidelines. The whole program looks like, it's getting turned on its head. That was the beginning of the end there for the Heupel era, I think. So that was number 3.
It's funny looking back on those in hindsight, because at the time we were all like, oh, well, what's going on? Fractured locker room, and, guys don't like each other. And we've had guys on since then, and we've asked about it, and they've all, partied the company line about, oh, no, we're brothers. It was handled in the locker room, blah, blah, blah. But looking back on it, like, you can now see some of the cracks in the armor. At the time, anybody who suggested that was like shouted down by people being like, that's football, that's what happens, brothers fight brothers. But in reality, you can see the tea leaves on that one. It's funny to look back on those in a couple of years later and recognize how right we were about some of that stuff.
Yep. So number 2, Pittsburgh, 2019.
Okay.
The Pitt special, 4th down. We know the whole story. That drive, how they kept it alive on an offsides penalty, and then they go down and they do the Philly special on us to win the game. That was a backbreaker. Ended the streak, right? The regular season win streak that we had going on. Just a horrible loss in the game that we should have won too.
Yeah, another true freshman Dylan Gabriel obviously did not play well. We had some mistakes that game, but we were in position to win. A trick play needed to be pulled off. Pittsburgh made shirts out of that. That's how excited they were.
Yeah, and the number 1, we discussed it a lot last week. Yeah, Duke basketball game in the tournament. The tip goes right on the rim, rolls out, and we were that close to being the Cinderella story of that season in that tournament, but it just didn't work out. So these are just in the last 5-6 years, all these heartbreakers, man. It's been pretty rough here the last few years, no?
Yeah, you can't argue that Duke game. And I will tell people, instead of maybe listening to an interview Mike and I do this week, if you have not heard that Aubrey Dawkins conversation, it's in your podcast feed if you're listening to this now. It's on our YouTube page if you want to go search and watch the video. Like, it's such a good interview. When I went back and listened to some of it while I was cutting up some sound, and, just the way that he talks about the game, the way he, talks about the team and what it was like, it's such a good interview. So if you haven't heard that, you should definitely check that out. But that is one that, you talk about the what ifs, Mike. What if that thing goes in? What if we upset Duke that day? What if we go to the next round? I mean, how different is UCF basketball today? We lamented a few weeks ago where we were as a basketball program. We had BJ Taylor come on to try to give us some insight and kind of talk us off a ledge, but we didn't ask him at that point. Maybe one of these days we can. Is if that tip goes in, how different is UCF basketball at that point? Oh
yeah, I mean, I still think of Florida Gulf Coast as a basketball power because they went to the Sweet 16 once and
okay.
they had a big run. I mean, there's a big difference from winning a game in the tournament and then winning 2 and going to the second weekend. Sweet 16 is a big deal, man. To get down that far, we were that close to doing it. The whole basketball program would have been changed if that happened.
Yeah.
So
those
are 5 horrible, heartbreaking, soul-crushing, last-minute losses like we had this weekend against Tulsa.
And not only that, Mike, do you have any – I know we were sports fans, right? We always romanticize this stuff. Do you believe any sense of the loss of this game, sort of the bad taste in their mouth, how they let it slip away? Do you think there's carryover? Do you think that's something that they'll take into next game? Or do you legit think that Darren Green all of a sudden comes out and goes 5 from 7 from 3 and it doesn't even matter anymore? Or do you think there can be hangover when you lose a game like this, when you lose back-to-back games like we did? Do you think there could be hangover there?
Yeah, I definitely think there could be. And there's not only that, but this is the end of the year now. And this team knows basically it's not going to the big dance, right? Unless they pull out some miracle this weekend. So a lot of these guys might just want to get this thing over with, right? And that's going to factor into it too. I mean, you hope not. You hope they have some pride. You're playing a rival school in the first round. You would think they come out hyped up. But if they come out in that first half and they start missing those threes, I can see them just packing it in and saying, see you guys next year. And look, the Cows beat us by 20 earlier in the season. It's not a gimme that we're just going to go in there and crush them because they stink. So, it definitely could roll over, I think.
We're doing Cancun on 3. 1, 2, 3, Cancun. I mean, it was such a tough game because, it was a weird game, first of all. So for those who maybe, I don't know where you guys are watching it at, but it started off on ESPN News because women's college lacrosse was running over. So it started off on ESPN News, and then it went back to ESPNU. Mike, you have actually loved this as a fan. When it got to ESPNU, they didn't bring this sound with it. So there were no announcers. So you literally just watched the game and just heard like the crowd noise, and that was it. You heard nothing from the announcers. So it would have been like a UCF Mike special because you didn't have to hear the announcers like droning on and on. It was tough, though, because you didn't know what the heck was happening, what they were calling, what was going on late there. There was a call late And I don't know if you caught this one, Mike, but there was a call late where Bakke essentially just got clocked in the face, high elbow to the face, similar to what we talked about with Aubrey Dawkins. One of the points of emphasis this year for officiating has been in anything above the head and neck area, you can review that for a flagrant foul. So Johnny Dawkins could have elected to have had that reviewed and figured out if it was a foul. But if he's wrong, it costs him a timeout, Mike. He only had one timeout left. The replays clearly showed, that's actually this Horn guy too, this Jariah Horn, hitting Bakke in the face. It probably, by the definition, would have been a flagrant foul, which would have essentially given UCF shots in the ball back. Darius Perry was pretty adamant telling Johnny Dawkins, hey, we should look at this one. He hit him in the face. You can see him talking to the referee, and the referee telling Darius Perry, yes, you can challenge this if you want, if you think he got hit. Darius goes over to Johnny, and because you could see everything clearly and there was no noise, Johnny looked at Darius Perry, said something, turned to the bench and said, how many timeouts do we have? Somebody clearly shouted back one, and then he said, no, I don't want to challenge it. And in hindsight, Mike, I don't. It's not. You can pick any play out, I guess, but this is where people sometimes we talk about Johnny and whether or not he's the right fit for UCF and his stuff. You know, fouling up 3 while a lot of people do it, obviously doesn't work out. Not challenging that play, which in hindsight could have maybe upturned that. I don't want to put this one all on him because he's missing, obviously, 2 players, Isaiah Adams and Brendan Mahan, who are pretty important cogs, Mike. But this felt like one that there was an element of coaching that let this one slip away. It does not excuse 3 from 12 from the free throw line. I get it. But there are a couple of tactical decisions. I wonder if Johnny would like to have those back if he could.
Yeah, well, you're assuming that what they call the flagrant, that we're going to make the free throws.
Fair.
Or at least one of them.
Fair.
And we didn't prove that we could do that. That's what it basically comes down to. I mean, we can always Monday morning quarterback the coach's decisions to challenge or not the next day, but hit 2 more free throws. Go 5 for 12 from the line in the second half.
Yeah, fair.
And we're not having this discussion.
Fair.
Right? That's basically what it comes down to. This team was a great free throw shooting team early in the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were one of the best in the country the first month of the season. I don't know what happened to us at the line this week.
Well, we were a great free throw shooting team for the first 20 minutes of this game, Mike. We were 6 of 6. And then obviously it all falls apart towards the end there. And just a couple of misses here and there. Bakke, 1 of 4 from the line was tough. Darren Green, probably usually a good free throw shooter, 0 of 2 from the line. Walker misses 2 again. Perry misses 2, and it adds up. And obviously a lot of that stuff happens in the second half when we need it most, Mike. And you alluded to this. So with that loss, now we realize we are not getting that bye as we intended. And instead, we are going to go to the conference tournament and we'll have to play the first round. We are the 6th seed, matched up against our rivals, the Cows. First time we've ever been matched up in the American Conference basketball tournament. We're playing the Cows now, Mike. This is Thursday, 7 p.m. on ESPNU. Again, because of that, we will do our live show on Wednesday, Mike. But you mentioned this earlier. Cows, dreadful team, 8 of 22 on the season. But they beat us 75-51 in Tampa earlier in the year. Revenge game in Orlando, 68-49 win. Handicap this one, Mike. How confident? What's the UCF Mike confidence meter going into this one of confidence percentage that UCF's going to win?
I have no confidence.
6. Okay, perfect.
I mean, based off this last week of basketball that I just watched, no confidence. And this is coming off our best game that we played in a long time when we beat Cincinnati the week before.
Yeah.
So we had that long layoff, and now we had these 2 clunkers. I don't know. I can't tell you anything about this team. I can't tell you if I have a good feeling or a bad feeling going into any particular game. You would think, like I said, they're hyped up for this tournament game, but at the same time, I could see them just mail it in and get out of here because that's just the type of team this has been all year. 9-9 in this conference, with some of those losses to bad teams. I mean, Tulsa and South Florida are the last 2 teams in the standings, and we lost to both of them. We lost to Wichita, who's 6-9 in the conference. We probably should have lost to East Carolina the first time when we were down 20. I don't know how we pulled that off. So we didn't play great against bad teams, and we didn't beat any of the good teams either. You know, we split with Memphis. That's the best win we had in conference all year. We couldn't beat Houston, couldn't beat SMU. I don't know what to expect, man. I really don't. I could see us winning this game by 10. I could see us losing by 10.
The Cows have lost 12 of their last 14. They eked out a 2-point win at Cincinnati on the 26th of February. And prior to that, their only other win was Feb 7th, right after they played us. They win by 3 at home versus Temple. Other than that, Mike, they've lost every other game for the last basically 6 weeks. On paper, this is a team we should be better than, but we've seen this before. This team is so erratic. You don't know what you're going to get from week to week. Here's a couple things we don't know. Brandon Mahan's status. We don't quite yet know if he's going to be back to play. There's a lot of people who think that the injury is probably season ending, but it has not been announced. I don't know what happened to Darren Green Jr. I hope it's not an injury because he looked okay versus Tulsa, but God forbid that's an injury and we have issues there. Isaiah Adams with a hamstring and an ankle early in that game. Can he play? Now he's not exactly letting it up offensively, but he can at least make contributions. So I have no idea what to expect. Here's the other thing. We're the home team, but we are playing this one, Mike, at the vaunted college basketball, just pillar of legacy, the Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas. So that's where this thing's being played at. I cannot imagine the crowd's going to be very amped up on a Thursday night, 7 p.m. for UCF and the Cows. Maybe there'll be a lot of carryover in the game prior to us, which is the vaunted Tulsa-Wichita matchup at 3 p.m. But it's going to be probably a small crowd, a quiet crowd. Almost feels like a de facto sort of Tulsa-esque road game. We play better at home. We play better with energy in the crowd. We're not going to have that, Mike. My confidence meter is like 49-51. I mean, at this point, I have no clue what to expect. The Cows have nothing to lose. They're by far the worst team. They're just probably happy to be in the tournament at this point, although everybody gets in. So I don't even know what to expect from this one. But if you told me we lost by 10, I'd be like, yep, sounds about right.
Yeah, if there's any team that's mailing it in more than us, it would be the Cows, you would think. You just mentioned that they lost, 12 of the last 13 games. You would think they just want to get in there and get out, but they got to have some pride too. And them playing us is probably something that'll get them a little hyped up. If they were playing like Cincinnati or Wichita, they probably wouldn't care and they'd be out of there. But the fact that they have a chance to end our season, I think they're going to be hyped up. And it's going to come down to, I think, the start of this game. If we can get out on top of them and put them away, then, I think we'll be all right. But if they're hanging in, the longer they hang in this game, the more nervous I'll be. If this is a tight game with under 5 minutes to go, I think we're in big trouble.
Well, let's say we win this one, Mike, out of for some reason. All we get at that point is we get a nice friendly date on Friday with Memphis, who is going to come into this tournament, Mike. They are coming off of just whipping up Houston, which was a really surprising one. They actually beat Houston both times this year. They beat Houston 75-61 on Sunday. So our gift is the third seed Memphis, 19-9 on the year. So we don't get things any easier. If we happen to beat Memphis, then we're in the same bracket as SMU, 22-7, and obviously Houston's the number 1 seed overall, Mike. So a tough task ahead of UCF again, but we got to get past the Cows first. It's a coin flip. We say this all the time. You throw out the record books in a rivalry game. The Cows would probably like nothing more than to spoil our season, send us packing, and send us away. And again, their tournament, they're not going anywhere anyway. And so I don't know. I don't know.
None of us know. None of us know what to expect out of this team, and that says everything you need to know about the 2021-2022. UCF basketball season. It's been up and down, inconsistent. We don't know what to expect. You think you got a team that can shoot the lights out one day, and then you got a team that can't make a free throw the next. I don't know either. The good news is I don't think you have to worry about SMU or Houston down the road because the season's coming to an end on Friday, whether we beat the Cows or not. We are not beating Memphis. They're a better team than us. They're going to beat us up just like they did in Memphis a couple weeks ago. We're going to play this first game in front of friends and family only. It's going to be dozens of people in the crowd, maybe. So that could be a factor, like you mentioned. I don't know what to expect. I'm not very optimistic.
17-11 on the season. That's UCF's final record. Regular season 9-9 in conference. I'm going to ask the question, Mike, because it's a podcast and we have nothing else to talk about. Let's say we lose this one to the Cows by another 20 spot. and we finished the year 17-12, bounced out of the first round to our rivals by, a double-digit loss. I know what your particular answer would be. Is that reason enough to think about a Johnny Dawkins hot seat?
Man, yeah, if we get embarrassed by the Cows again, by the last place team in this conference, we're a team that only has 3 wins in conference, and would be their 4th. We would give them half of their conference wins. The way this team has reacted down the stretch and performed down the stretch has not been good. You got to start asking that question, I think. Right? I mean, where's this program going? It's not going forward. It's going backwards. So,
yeah, I'm not saying he's coaching for his job, Mike, but I feel like if this isn't a good performance by UCF, and again, this is we said this after he lost at Tampa by that large margin, that maybe that's one of those things where you just can't lose to your rival like that. But if that happens in the tournament, I mean, that's questions have to be asked. I mean, Twitter fights be damned. At that point, that's one of those things where you say, I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you think the program needs. I don't care what you need. That's just one of those where you go, ooh, that may be a fatal sin at that point.
Yeah, the problem is we're not going to be able to afford to fire him right now. So I think we're got him for another year at least. And, he's got to start doing something. This thing's got to get back on track. We thought this was going to be the year. I think next year is going to be another step backwards. Unless these freshmen that are coming in are the real deal. I don't see how we're going to get that much better from this year to next year.
Yeah, it's right on paper, it's hard to look at right now. You're getting the Hendricks twins. You're getting one of them as a 5-star. Obviously, Darius Johnson is probably taking a step forward this year. You think Ty Freeman has some ability. We haven't seen P.J. Edwards. We haven't seen Xavier Rhodes. You don't know if those guys are any good or not. Jamil Reynolds should be hanging around. The transfer portal's open. So I could talk myself into saying, hey, you know what? All right, we've got some pieces, but it doesn't seem as easy as it did coming into this season, looking at pieces and going like, yeah, we got guys this year. I guess Darren Green could come back for another year. Who knows if he's going to do that? So it will be interesting. But either way, we will try to cover it all for you. But just a disappointing end to the regular season. If somehow UCF is able to make a miraculous run, that would be a lot of fun. But I don't know that we're holding our breath. But I guess you can find out on Thursday, 7 o'clock, Mike. And if we win that, Friday night, 9 p.m., what else you got to do on Friday night at 9 p.m. than watch UCF Memphis?
Yeah, that'd be nice if we can get to that spot. But I wouldn't get my hopes up for that game. If somehow we are able to pull that one off, then that changes the whole perspective of the season. Then you're probably looking at NIT, even though I'm not excited for that. But if we lose even one of these first 2 games, you probably know postseason now. Do they still do like the CBI and all these other tournaments you got to pay to play in?
I don't even know anymore. I'm not sure with COVID of what's continued on or what hasn't. I don't. Yeah, great question. I have no idea.
I don't want to.
I don't want those either, though. Yeah, at this point, like, let's just cut our losses. Especially if we're not healthy. I don't want to roll out a bunch of guys who haven't played together and aren't ready to play. Like, let's cut our losses at that point.
Yeah, what happens if you have a serious injury in a meaningless tournament game? That's going to hurt you for next year. There'd be no point for that, right?
Yeah. Quickly, Mike, women's finally got ranked in the AP. They're now number 25. Coach Abe, Coach of the Year in the AAC. Diamond Battles Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. And so Depoy. So they have look, for everything that we lamented the men's team for not being, the women's team is absolutely all those things, and they're poised, top seed in the conference, Mike. They're at this point they should be a lock in the tournament, regardless of what happens in the conference tournament this year. But the women's team doing everything that we hope the men's team can do, and doing it a heck of a lot better.
That's right. At least we are a women's basketball school now.
Yeah.
Top 25, that's a big deal. And we've been clamoring for it for the last few weeks. We should have been in there weeks ago. But finally getting some respect. Good for them. I'm happy for them. When do they play their first game? Tomorrow?
I think it's Wednesday. I don't know that I saw their schedule. Let me check that real quick. I think it's Wednesday night they kick off their tournament.
All right. So some conferences already had their tournament. The ACC women already played their conference tournament this past weekend.
Yeah, while you and I were talking, Chattanooga beat Furman on a buzzer beater. So there's that.
All right, so this tournament, like you said, we're probably already in the big dance. But but it's still important for seeding purposes. If we can finish strong here, win the conference tournament, you win the regular season, you win the postseason, that's a very good season, and maybe a top 5, top 6 seed in advance. That'll set you up for a nice little run if they can pull it off.
Yeah, they have Tulsa. I apologize. Tulsa, Tuesday, Mike, 1 p.m. They are playing Tulsa. So, ESPN
and we just
Plus.
locked down. The way this team plays defense, we should go run through this conference tournament with no problem.
And we just beat Tulsa last week, 61-48. So we've got some history there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the last few games we've dominated everybody. So I'm very confident. You asked about the confidence meter in the men's. For the women, I'm very confident. I'm expecting us to win this conference tournament. If we don't, I think it's a big upset.
Yeah. No, I mean, we should. You would hope. You would think that we would have the ability. I mean, we're obviously the 1 seed coming into this. The 2 seed is the Cows. So we wouldn't face them if anything until the finals. Obviously, at that point, we have Temple and Tulane in our bracket plus SMU. So I guess maybe Cows. That'd be interesting. Cows UCF for the title. That would be Thursday, the final game. So you could see UCF men play Thursday at 7, and then if we make it to the finals, the women will play right after that.
All right, very good, man.
So set your schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's gonna be a fun watch. That team is a lot more fun to watch than the men.
All right, Mike, speaking of fun, the baseball team had a little fun this weekend. Number 2, Ole Miss came to town. It was, first of all, a well-attended series. I mean, the stands looked packed. It looked like a lot of people there, at least on Friday and Saturday, from what I could tell. It looked packed. It looked like it was a fun event. Friday's tilt goes down to the wire. We lose a 1-run game, 7-8. Stop me if you heard that before. Saturday, though, Mike, we go extras and pull out a 1-0 victory. Sunday, though, Ole Miss puts on the hurting. We lose that 9-1, Mike. So we lose the series overall, our second and third loss of the season to date. But a good showing in Game 1 and Game 2, Mike. Obviously not the outcome you probably want on all 3. What do you take away from UCF going toe-to-toe with Ole Miss and basically, if you throw out Sunday, basically being dead even from a run standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good weekend. You would have liked to win the series 2-1 at least. You didn't get swept, and this is against a very good team. Ole Miss, number 2 in the country. When we beat them, that was their first loss of the season. Mm-hmm. So you knew it was going to be tough, but the guys fought hard and played some very competitive, tough games the first 2 days. So you're happy to see that. It just proves to them, and that'll give them confidence going forward, that they can play with anybody in the country. If they can play with this Ole Miss team, they can play with anybody. And the pitching on Saturday, fantastic, man. 1-0 extra innings. That's old school. Where do we go? 12 innings?
12 innings. Yep. Yeah, 12 innings.
So that's great to see, man. I was happy to see the results the first 2 days. And the last day, it is what it is. That happens in baseball sometimes, but very competitive first 2 nights. Yeah,
you got to like Connor Stay, Mike. 7 innings, only gave up 2 hits, 1 walk, struck out 10. And then gave way to Chase Cantella, who went 5, only gave up 1 hit at that point, Mike. And obviously, ultimately UCF comes out with a win. But you got to like Connor Stain. He's a guy who's got a live arm, and we've had Stephen Branca on with us every week, and he told us this guy's got all the stuff in the world. A younger kid, obviously, but he definitely pitched well on Saturday.
Yeah, fantastic outing. 96 pitches. You mentioned it. Only 1 walk. 10 strikeouts, 1 walk. And if you do that, you're going to put yourself in position to be pretty successful. Don't give them any base runners. Fantastic job out of him. And you like the fire that you see. Remember, we saw him earlier in the season giving the team the business, Sienna.
The business.
So you like what you see out of this guy so far. He's proven to be a very good weekend starter.
And then Riley Wash with the RBI driving in Jeffrey Pena for the only run on Saturday, Mike. Friday, another close one. Again, that was one UCF probably was in, but doesn't necessarily get what they want there. But overall, I mean, you got to be impressed with the crowd. Even Coach Lovelady, when he was talking to Trace, he was basically saying, "Hey, I want to see." I don't need 50,000. I need just some people out there that are willing to be loud. Mike, they got over 3,000 on Friday night. close to 3K on Saturday, and Sunday was 2,300. So they had a really good crowd. I think I saw Eric Lopez was posting that it was the most attended series or something along those lines in UCF baseball. So you got to at least like the crowd, Mike. I mean, they got out there and they got behind the guys. That's a cool thing to see.
That's good. It's fun. Baseball games are fun to go to. You can get just as rowdy as you do in football and basketball, and there's no Major League Baseball, so this is the only baseball in town. If you want to go watch some real competitive baseball, here you go, man. And we're competing with some of the best teams in the country. Don't just have it happen just this one weekend because Ole Miss is in town.
Yeah.
I mean, let's keep this thing going. I know it's hard to get excited for North Florida and Florida A&M coming up, but we've got Miami coming in a couple of weeks. That'll be a big game. And once conference play gets going, that should be a regular thing. Everybody should be out at the ballpark.
Yeah, have you seen the right field stuff is cool too, where the fans basically parking out there. They're yelling over the fence, and it looks like a good time. They're creating a good atmosphere. It kind of reminds you of that old Kirk's Jerks kind of thing, where I think they're calling it something like the Knight's Den or something like that. I forget what it is, but people getting out there in right field and yelling and screaming, having a good time. Like that's what it's all about. And I'm glad to see. I know we've been harsh on Lovelady a little bit here and there, but I got to tell you, him sitting down with Trace each week, it kind of humanizes him a little bit. Like I've really enjoyed hearing more from him and kind of him talking about his team, and even having Stephen Branca on to tell a little bit more about the team so far. I mean, Stephen's been telling us this is a talented team. We have everything we need to make a run. And by and large, Mike, so far, I mean, the results are there. I mean, it's hard to argue with anything you're hearing from Lovelady or Stephen Branca.
That's right. I mean, and it's a well-rounded team. You've seen them put runs on the board early in the season. You're putting up 10, 18, 16 against Siena. We've got 7 runs on Friday night against a good Ole Miss team. And then we can win the close ones too. We've won a couple one-run games. We won a 1-0 game this weekend. We won a
3-2
close one against North Florida earlier in the season. So showing that they can do it different ways, hitting, pitching. It's great to see, and hopefully they keep this thing going. This is just like a couple years ago where we got very excited for the start of the season too, when they were playing well, and then got shortened because of COVID. But if these guys keep this going, man, I think this is going to build up some steam. Maybe we're a baseball school again.
Here we go.
Can we do that?
I mean, to be fair, we've also lost 2 one-run games, so there's that. The schedule is interesting, Mike. On Tuesday, they're at Bethune in Daytona. Wednesday, they're back home for a game against FAMU. Friday, Saturday, they're at home to play UNF. And Sunday, they're up in Jacksonville to play UNF. So kind of a weird schedule week, just back-to-back games with travel in between, both on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Saturday, Sunday. So curious to see how they shake loose there. But then they're off until Wednesday, where you mentioned the aforementioned Miami Hurricanes will be coming to John Giuliano Park, and that's a week from this Wednesday. So a nice little fun schedule coming up here for the Knights baseball team. So if you haven't gotten out there, maybe check a game out.
Yeah, you're going to head to the game on Jacksonville against North Florida Sunday?
That's an interesting – yeah, I hadn't thought about that. I see that here now, 1 o'clock. That's a possibility. That's a strong possibility. We don't have any soccer activities. So that's a possibility.
Yeah, I've been looking. They got a couple games down here. They play at FAU. It's a Tuesday night, I believe.
April 5th, yeah.
I think that's right after I get back from my trip. I don't know if I'm going to have too much energy.
Yeah.
It's possible. It's not far. And then they're also down here against Miami.
May 11th, yeah.
But that's during the week, too.
Wednesday.
May 11th.
Yeah.
And that's a far drive. That's like an hour out.
Yeah.
And rush hour traffic, 5 o'clock, going to Miami. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'd like to go. I've never been to a game down there. It's supposed to be a great atmosphere, too. Now it's called Alex Rodriguez Stadium, Mark White Field or whatever.
Yeah.
But I've always heard about the milkshakes there. This must be fantastic.
Shake Shack, yeah. Shake Shack, yep.
So I wish it was a week. If it was a weekend game, I'd go catch one. But Wednesday 6, that's tough. Maybe the FAU. That might be my one.
Well, I'm a firm maybe for Sunday when we play the mighty Ospreys of North Florida here in the Jacksonville area, Mike. All right, so that's off the top. That's basketball, baseball. That's kind of where we are right now, Mike. Let's grab a quick break here, and we'll come back and we'll start talking spring football practice. That is coming up. And Mike and I have our top 5 guys that we are curious to see how they perform, and we're keeping our close eye on. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Sons UCF.
UCF head football coach Gus Malzahn, and you should listen to the Sons of UCF like your hair is on fire. Go Knights and charge on.
All right, Mike, here we are. Football is back. It's been weird this year. Not a lot of football conversation. Last year we got really spoiled with all the coaching news, all the transfer stuff, but it's been relatively quiet. But spring football has snuck up on us. The Knights take the practice field March 14th. They will practice for the next, 5 or 6 weeks, whatever the timeline is. And then April 16th is the spring game, the finale of the spring time, Mike. So, look, you can say what you want about spring practice. I get it. It's Trace Trocco and Jason Beatty getting 7.5 seconds of, somebody throwing a football, and Obarski may or may not be denting cars in the parking lot. And that's really all we learn. And then we watch spring game, which is fun, but it's a glorified practice, and you don't really get a heck of a whole lot out of it. But it's the only thing we got, guys. All right, that's all we have going for us right now. If you're football starved, yeah, you can follow recruiting. Some of that stuff's going on, but this is really all we have, Mike. And it's not perfect, but it's what we have. Let's just all accept it. You know what I mean? Let's just all embrace it.
The underwear Olympics are over, right? The combine was
combine is over, yeah.
And I saw our guys doing some combine stuff type drills, so get them ready for next season, I suppose. But yeah, football is here, I guess. I mean, it's not fully here, but the guys are going to be putting the pads on again soon. You're going to hear the football sounds of the grunting between the old linemen and the pads hitting each other. Who doesn't enjoy that?
I sure enjoy it, Mike, and there's a lot of things to watch for, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you our top 5 players that we are interested in kind of following or watching to see how things go. So these are just 5 guys. Mike and I have not collaborated on this, so I have no idea what Mike's guys are. He has no idea what mine are. But these are 5 guys that we're just curious to kind of watch and follow and see how things work, Mike. So let's start with you. Give me your first guy. It doesn't have to be in any order, right? Whoever it is that you're thinking about. Who's somebody that you are interested in following along this spring practice?
All right. You gave me this assignment.
I did.
I didn't have time to do too much research.
Perfect.
I know the names.
Okay.
Now
names
I
are
don't
good.
I don't even know for sure if some of these guys are even on campus yet.
Okay. I can help you. I'll help you out here. I got you.
A couple of freshmen coming in. My first guy is Colton Boomer.
Yes.
Is he around?
He is there.
All right. Good. So I'm looking forward to watching him and see if he is the real deal Holyfield kicker that we've hyped him up to be. And we all know that the troubles we've had in the kicking game and Obarski. And we just did the poll of how would you rate the special teams, and it was not fantastic this season. So if this kid can come in and start drilling, he doesn't even have to hit the 55-yarders and stuff like that and wow us that way. He just needs to be consistent. Can he consistently make the kicks between 25 and 45 yards? And that's what I'm going to be looking for. Colton Boomer, number 1.
For whatever it's worth, he's a 5-star kicker. He is a walk-on, though. He's from Lake Mary right there in Florida. Seems like a really good kid. Seems like a nice kid. Not that Obarski's not. We talked to Dylan Barnes last week, and we kind of previewed kickers. He told us, obviously, Obarski, he's been trying to give him some tips and pointers. But ultimately, I think what he said, Mike, what you've been saying for years, is competition breeds success. And if bringing this kid in, Colton Boomer, is able to either elevate Obarski and make him, do extra reps or get better or whatever, then ultimately it's probably a good thing. So, I agree. It's interesting. Obarski was one that I wrote down on my paper as well. So we'll see if that holds true. But I think the kicking game will definitely be interesting to see.
Yeah, and something that definitely needs improving over the last few years. So he's one of your 5 too. So does that just cancel each other?
Well, he's not actually. He was on my list. Yeah, he did not make the final cut.
Well,
yeah, that's how I look at it. All right, here's my number 5, Mike, and no particular order for me. Thomas Castellanos is my number 5 guy that I really want to watch this camp, right? And here's a couple of interesting things I was thinking about this. Number 1, outside of Joey Gatewood, which nobody counts, it's kind of like Encanto. No one talks about Bruno. Nobody talks about Joey Gatewood, all right? We're not doing that. But nobody else on the roster, quarterback-wise, was recruited by Gus Malzahn. He inherited everybody else there. I guess you can say John Rice Plumlee, but outside of that transfer-wise, Castellanos is the only quarterback recruited by Gus, which may not mean a whole heck of a lot of anything. But what it does mean is Gus obviously thinks this kid fits his system. He's a kid in 4 years in high school, threw for 7,700 yards, ran for another 3,600 yards. He obviously has sort of that dual threat potential that we know that Gus likes. And so I'm not saying he's going to start, but Mike, stop me if you've heard this before. We're going into a season where our top 2 quarterbacks are a guy who came in for our injured starter and played okay, and a guy transferring in who we have no idea if he can actually throw the football. And then we have a freshman. This is very eerily reminiscent of that 2019 season with Darryl Mack and Brandon Wimbush and Dylan Gabriel. Now, that's a different coaching staff, and obviously there's way other stuff involved here, but there's some eerie similarities there. And I'm not saying Castellanos is going to be the guy, but I think he's an interesting wild card. I'm curious to see how he adapts, how Gus uses him, how much playing time he gets, and are we going to see him, and will we look at this kid and go, hey, this is the future of the quarterback room for UCF? So Thomas Castellanos is my number 5 guy that I'm most interested to watch.
Yeah, it's exactly like the 2019 season. If you would have told us going into that year, I mean, some people wanted to give Mac that shot to start, but everybody was, and then he hurt himself.
Yeah.
So he kind of took himself out of the running there. Hopefully none of these kids do that this off season. But everybody for sure thought Brandon Wimbush was going to be the guy to come in and be the starter. Coming over from Notre Dame, very highly touted. He could run. And then we got to practice, and we saw that he couldn't really throw. So
yes.
We'll see about Plumlee. But, yeah, Castellanos, man. And Castellanos has been killing it in the workouts. Every time you see a workout video, he's right up there, man. And he's been doing well. So he's interesting. He's definitely an athlete. And if you can run Gus's system, as we know, it's not that complicated of a system. So that shouldn't be too big of an issue. He's here early. He's got the chance to start getting into it. I give him a shot. I'm not going to say he's not going to be in it to be a quarterback this year. He very well could be a starting quarterback at some point this season.
I think it's just something to watch. I agree with you. We're not here saying that we're exclusively reporting he's going to be the starter, but I think it's something to watch because I think there's a lot of intangibles there that make it. Now, again, the difference between the Wimbush, Mack, Gabriel concept was Josh Heupel wanted to throw the football. Gus isn't going to do that as much. So Plumlee maybe not having a great accuracy or a great throwing arm maybe doesn't hurt him as much as that hurt Wimbush in the Heupel system. But again, just something to monitor. Some guy that I want to see how he plays. Even if it's not the guy this year, I want to see if this is the guy that we think can play and be the future of the quarterback room for us.
Yep. Yeah. And if he is the guy, then you start him this year. Just like we did with Dylan Gabriel, start the clock now. If he can do it, put him out there. If he's the future, why not? Right?
Boom.
We've seen it happen before.
Boom. All right, who you got? Who's another guy, another name that you're keeping an eye on?
All right, here's another guy that I'm not even sure if he's all the way back. I hope he is. I think he is. RJ Harvey.
Yeah, he's back. Well, I don't know if he'll be cleared, but in theory, he should be able to do some participation work. I don't know if he'll be in contact, though.
All right. So,
but fair.
He obviously had the big injury at this time last year, in the spring, and he had a big spring game, right?
He did.
Got hurt in the fall, then in the preseason.
He did. Yeah, he was essentially the lead back in the spring game. I think Bentavious Thompson was nursing some sort of a wrist injury at that point, so he did not play very much. And RJ Harvey was the main running back this past season spring game.
All right. So I don't know if he's going to get much time in the spring game itself, but if he's back during workouts here and back to his normal self, he's a big time back, man. And I know it's Isaiah Bowser's backfield right now, but as we've seen, Bowser hasn't stayed healthy at all in his career for an entire season. This past year is also included. He got hurt. He was out for a few weeks. If that's to happen again, we need a big guy to fill that role to go along with Johnny Richardson. RJ Harvey is that bigger back. I want to see how he's feeling, how he has progressed from his injury, and see if he's back to 100%.
I mean, so he's not that big. He's 5'8", 195 pounds.
He's the thicker guy.
But he's a much stronger back, I think, and than you would have in Johnny Richardson. I like RJ Harvey. I think he played well in the spring game. But the thing I always find funny is that we, and I'm not making fun of you on this one, but we always talk about how exciting he is. His career stats are 3 rushing attempts and 3 yards. So we haven't seen a whole lot of him. But I do think in Gus's system, he was a quarterback for a while at Virginia. He was a quarterback in high school for a while. So is there something, from a trick play, a gadget play standpoint? So I think that's an interesting pick because we think about the running back room and, to your point, Bowser and Mark Anthony Richards and Johnny Richardson. We're bringing this Jordan Mcdonald kid, and we all forget about this kid who at the beginning of last year we thought he was the next great UCF back, and how quickly that changes. But he could be an interesting X factor if he is indeed healthy and ready to go.
Yeah, and that's the big question: is he healthy? And I guess we're going to find that out soon.
We are going to find that out too, Mike. All right, here's my second guy that I'm curious to keep an eye on, Mike, and it is one Lee Hunter. Lee is a defensive tackle, a transfer from Auburn. This kid is 6'4", 320, listed as a D tackle. Did not play a single game in 2021, so did not see the field at all at Auburn. In 2020 in high school, played a little bit, had 54 tackles, 20 TFLs, 4.5 sacks. So he's definitely got some skill. He's got some measurables. He was a top 5 recruit in the state of Alabama during his year coming out. He was the number 7th ranked D tackle by ESPN in 24/7. So the kid definitely had some offers, had some talent. Again, went to Auburn. It doesn't work out. He's now at UCF, 6'4", 320. He's interesting, Mike, because we've obviously taken some hits on the D line. We knew we lost Kalia Davis, who's in the combine this week doing interviews. Out of nowhere, Cam Good enters the portal, so we lose a big guy there. We saw Ricky Barber, but he got hurt a bunch last year, so I don't think we saw his full potential. Even though Hunter's not going to play that spot, we lose Big Cat off the line. So we've got some depth, some rotation we have to fill in on that front line, Mike. And if this kid at 6'4", 320 as a redshirt freshman, so he's got a bunch of playing time in front of him, if he can be that guy, that will be huge. If we can put him and Ricky Barber next to each other and start making some plays and getting the quarterback and then rotate in Montalvo and Hester and everybody else, I think we've got a good opportunity. So I'm curious to see if Lee Hunter, who hasn't played a down of college football yet, is he the real deal? Yeah,
and we need some guys to step up now with Big Cat gone. Who's going to be the leaders on the defense? You mentioned this kid he's a freshman, but he can turn into that leader. Big potential out of him. You mentioned the size and all that. So interesting. And another Auburn guy transfer overs, right?
Yep.
So kind of a little similar to the Big Cat, although he's not a senior. But it's going to be fun to see him too. He can make a big difference on this defense.
Yeah, that's a spot of need. So if he can become one of those guys, that would be huge. Mike, who's another name you're keeping an eye out for?
Here's another one. I'm not even sure if he's on campus yet.
Okay, here we go.
So you have to tell me. Quan Lee.
Quan Lee is on campus.
All right, and this guy.
He's already got like 9 NIL deals.
This guy, yeah, he's not going to be shy. I can tell you that. If he can back up his play, if he can back up his talking with his play, he could be a superstar here. And he may be one of the next greats, or he could just be a flame out and we'll never hear from him again. Who the heck knows?
Actually,
I want to find that out here. And I think we're going to see some things going up against our secondary. Let's see what he can do, because he's got the talent from what we've seen on video so far.
Yeah, I'm a big liar. He's actually not on campus. There's a Lee on the roster. It's not him though. So he is not on campus. At least he's not listed on the official roster.
So forget him then. I don't want to see him. I'll wait for the fall, I guess, if he's not. But you want to give me another receiver instead? How about Ryan O'Keefe? Coming off the season that he just had, he's going to be the leader. He was the offensive MVP this past season. Can he take an even bigger step now and have just that crazy offensive season to set him up for the draft and go on to become a professional wide receiver? I'd like to see what he can do coming back. Does he let last season get to his head? Does he kind of get complacent, anything like that? So something to watch.
All right. Well, I'll go for my next one then. I'm in the same room as you. I'm going Jalen Robinson. Obviously, a guy, Mike, that we saw a ton of potential, not last year, but the year prior. He was a huge deep threat. He played really well. Him and Dylan Gabriel had a really good connection. He was a guy that was just absolutely a monster on the deep ball. You could always kind of expect that he's going to be there. He had 55 receptions, almost 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. Started all 10 games. This season, obviously a new offense coming in with Dylan. He gets hurt in that Louisville game, ends up missing a whole bunch of time after that. Came back a little bit, but just did not play as much. I think he caught 2 passes against SMU and 2 against UConn. I think those were his final stats for the year. So didn't have a ton of stats on the year, 18 receptions overall, Mike. But obviously, we know he was close with Dylan Gabriel, so he did not transfer out. So a lot of guys, like a Titus who was close with Dylan, have left the team. Jalen stayed. Not sure if that's because he transferred once and couldn't transfer, that he really liked what he saw in UCF. I don't know that we've got that clarity, but he's back. He's with us. But while he was gone, like you mentioned, Ryan O'Keefe all of a sudden ascends to an all-world talent, just the offensive playmaker, the explosive playmaker that we needed. And that was Jalen's spot essentially a year ago. So what do we do with that? Does he come back? Is he going to have that same explosiveness? Will Gus find ways to use him very similar to the way he used Ryan O'Keefe? Or will some of these other receivers who are coming in, will those guys overtake him, right? We're bringing in Kobe Hudson, again, from Auburn. He's a 4-star guy. Is he going to, be one of those guys who come in and take reps? We've got some of these guys on the bench we did not see a lot last year. Jordan Johnson, the transfer from Notre Dame. Amari Johnson, obviously wants some playing time. So we have those guys. Deontay Marks, who transferred from Florida. I'm sure he wants some playing time. So, Quan Lee, like you just mentioned, when he gets here in the fall. So what does Jalen Robinson do? Is he gonna play hard, practice hard? Is he gonna try to earn his spot back? Or are some of these other guys going to pass him by? And kind of where's his head at? Is he over the Dylan Gabriel stuff? Was that ever really a thing? Or is he just going to play out his last year and try to get out of here? So Jalen Robinson is a really interesting name for me this year, because if he's right and if he's ready, he gives us a really nice weapon on the other side of Ryan O'Keefe and some of the other guys. But if he's not, then are these other guys going to pass him, and what's going to happen at that point?
Yeah, he was kind of the forgotten receiver this past season. I just forgot about him until just now when you brought him up.
Yeah.
Because he was out for most of the year. But the year before that, he was the best receiver on the roster, right?
Yeah.
With Marlon Williams,
yeah.
But as that deep threat, man, he was the guy. Jay Flash coming over from Oklahoma. We've seen the speed that he has. He can be a fantastic guy on the outside. So big offseason for him, coming back, reestablishing himself with the team and with Gus and the whole offense going forward. Getting that chemistry with the quarterbacks is going to be key. So that's a good pick out of you. I like that one.
Yeah, I want to know where his head's at, really, right? Like, 'cause to your point, he could come back and say, "Hey, I was the guy, and I got hurt last year, and O'Keefe came in and played well. Now I want my spot back. I'm gonna make sure people remember me and they know what I was about." Or does he pout? Does he whine? Does he say, "Why is this guy playing over me? Why is that guy playing over me? I'm not getting the ball." I'm not saying he's a bad person, but it's a natural thing to do at that point. So I'm curious to see how his reaction is just coming in, Mike. What do you got? I think we got 2 left apiece here. Who's your second to last?
John Rice.
Oh,
Plumlee.
JRP.
That's right. What does this guy got? Can he throw the ball? That's the question we're all going to ask. And Trace is going to be on the scene, getting his videos. That's all I want Trace to do, is just go there and film every throw this guy makes, right? That's it.
If Gus Malzahn lets him throw a football in front of the media, then I will lose all respect for Gus Malzahn. I feel like there's no way on earth Gus is going to let any time he's going to be nothing but a handoffs and like that fake read thing where he never actually throws the ball. If he lets him throw a football, I will be shocked.
Well, we got to see the guy throw.
I know we have to, but we're not going to. Hopefully Gus is going to see it.
Well, if he's that concerned about people seeing him throw, then I can already tell you this is not the guy. You got to be able to throw the ball at some point.
That's fair.
For as much as you can run, you got to be able to throw. I'm sorry. So yeah. I'm very curious to see what this looks like. And we know the speed he has, and we know the dimensions he can add to this offense with his running game. But can he throw? And we're going to find that out hopefully very soon.
Well, here's what's interesting. I'm on the UCF's official spring roster page, and they have bios of these guys, Mike. And so there's like a handful of bullet points on John Rice Plumlee. Let me read you. This is in order, okay? Let me read you the bullet points in order for John Rice Plumlee. I'll summarize some of these. Transferred to UCF. Caught 19 passes in 2021. Rushed for 64 yards against Austin Peay. Registered a 100-yard receiving game of career. Appeared in 7 contests in 2021 at receiver. Rushed 25 times for 94 yards. 6 receptions for 79 yards. 5 passes for 65 yards. Garnered freshman all-team recognition. Named the 24/7 sports team. Appeared in 9 games and 8 starts at quarterback. Ole Miss freshman running record at 1,000 yards. His 1,000 yards smashed a record passed by this guy. Mississippi Class 6A Offensive Player of the Year. Led Oak Grove to South State Championship and runner-up in 2018 title game. Threw for 5,400 yards and 51 touchdowns and 19 INTs. Member of Ole Miss baseball team. The only thing about throwing the football is the second to last bullet point on John Rice Plumlee's bio. Everything else is all about running, all about yards, all about him being an athlete. So the second to last thing is really the only thing, and it's a high school stat. Do with that what you will.
Man, I hope he can throw. I hope he can throw accurately. He doesn't have to, even though, we just mentioned the weapons we're going to have on the outside with O'Keefe and Robinson. You got to be able to throw that deep pass. Open up. That's what's going to open up the run game. If everybody just knows he's going to run when he's in, I don't care how fast you are, it's not going to be as successful. So
yeah,
he's got to be able to throw, and we got to see it.
To be fair, if we're going to be fair, let me play devil's advocate. If we're going to be fair, Gus's offense doesn't require you to throw the ball in a lot of tight windows. You know what I mean? So it isn't like he's going to have to be threading the needle all day long. A lot of this is zone reads and find the guy on the outside that's like 4 yards away from you. Now, if you throw it at his feet, we're going to have problems. But in theory, it's not. It's
Brandon Wimbush.
It was fair. I know. As I said this, I realized Brandon Wimbush flashbacks came to my head. So it's not like we're asking him to throw tight windows. And he's got a lot of speed. You would hope he can't overthrow these guys at least, right? At least get it up there and let somebody run underneath it. But I agree with you. Like, if he can't be a threat in the passing game, defenses are going to key on him as a one-dimensional running quarterback, and that's obviously going to hurt our offense. So let's hope he has at least enough to keep a defense honest. I'm not expecting him to throw for thousands of yards a season if he gets the nod, but we got to at least keep defenses honest.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, Trace, make sure he's on this thing, and Beatty and Hellwig, all of them. You're gonna have 3 cameras. I want 3 different angles of his throws, and we're gonna criticize each throw, where the follow through, his release. I want all kinds of Zapruder film footage on this kid's throwing motion.
Nice. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
He was one of your guys, I assume.
He was not, actually. No, he was not on my list.
Oh, no?
Yeah, he was not on my list. Next up for me, Mike. Jeremiah John Baptiste, linebacker, senior linebacker, 6'2", 230. He's been with the program for a long time. Last year, played 12 games, 5 starts, had 51 tackles, 6.5 TFLs, a sack, an interception, a couple of forced fumbles. A solid player. I think he's a guy that we saw some really good things. We saw some flashes, but obviously didn't get to see him a lot. He got injured a few different times last year, was on and off the field, Mike. But as you know, Tatum Bethune decided to be a traitor and go to FSU, so he's no longer in the linebacker room. We brought in a former 5-star in Terrence Lewis. We don't know if he can play or not. He's never been on the field. We brought in K.D. McDaniel from Kentucky, more of that big cat type of hybrid linebacker, not a traditional linebacker. So we are really thin and we are really inexperienced at the linebacker spot, which sets up perfectly for Jeremiah John Baptiste, JJB, to come in and really be that leader, that middle linebacker, that captain of the defense, that quarterback on the field, to be all the things that we need from a really good linebacker. We have, again, just a ton of inexperience, some guys we think are talented, but guys who haven't played together, guys who don't know the system. JJB is going to be huge for this year. If he plays well this season on defense, I think we'll have a really good defensive presence. Not to put a lot of pressure on the kid, but he's going to be the guy, and I'm curious to see how he performs and if he's going to take that role. So JJB is another name I'm watching.
Yeah, we need a leader on this defense. He should be the guy. Typically you look for the linebackers to be the emotional leaders on the team. Shaquem Griffin, guys like that, where it starts here in spring, and it starts with the workouts that they're going through right now. He should be the guy to do that. he's been here for a while now. He's been around the block. He's been under different coaching staffs. It's his time now, and let's see if he can make that next leap. He'd be interesting to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah, we need a leader, right? We need somebody to be that guy. Last year, I mean, Tatum Bethune was kind of all over the place, making tackles, making plays. He was kind of the linebacker that we all looked at. And again, this kid coming in from Kentucky, KD McDaniel, he's got a lot of experience, played a bunch of years. Maybe he's that guy. I don't know, but we need somebody in that middle part of the field to step up and make plays and be that guy. And you would think naturally JJB is that person, but I can't wait to see how that checks out for us.
Yeah, you mentioned all the guys we lost, man. It's his time now to step up and see what he's got. I mean, we know he's a good player, but he needs to become a great player.
There we go.
That's what's going to happen this year.
I'm fired up. All right, you got one guy left, Mike. There's a whole roster full of people, some of which aren't even on campus that you don't know about. That's fine. You've got one spot left. Who are you watching? Who's on UCF Mike's radar?
It's got to be the main guy. Mikey Keene. Keene Kong.
Wow, 2 quarterbacks for you. Okay.
That's right. I mean, we've seen what he did last year as a true freshman, stepped in after the injury to Gabriel, did a good job. His first pass ever was a touchdown, right? In that Navy game.
Yeah.
And then you saw the way he ended the season against the Gators with a very nice game there, the pass to O'Keefe and everything. So can he take that next step, the leap that we're talking? Is it baby steps? It's time to make the leap, right? This is what Mackenzie Milton did from year 1 to year 2. I think this is the year you see the biggest growth is from year 1 to year 2. And what's he got, man? And we've seen it looks like he's bulked up a little bit. Looks like he's added some muscle here from the pictures I've seen lately. So can he do it now? The game will slow down a little bit for him. I'm really looking forward to seeing this kid. I think he is the number 1 guy coming into this year. I don't care what you say about John Rice Plumlee. It's Mikey Keene's job to lose. I hope he doesn't. I hope he sticks in there and proves to everybody that he can be the guy for the next few years.
I'll tell you what, Mike, looking at some of those pictures, it looked like Mikey's in the weight room, though. I mean, it looked like he's put on some size, some bulk.
Steve Martin also a prop comment.
There we go. So here's the other thing with that, right? He got thrust into a situation that I think, in hindsight, looking back on it, we also know what was going on behind the scenes. All that considered, when you think about what he went through, how well he played, and again, you heard rumblings that maybe Dylan wasn't in his corner and yada, yada, yada. We'll never know if that's honestly true or not, or how much that impacted him. But, we saw, it was Josh McMullen, who almost like teared up talking about how much Mikey meant to the team and how much they love that kid and how hard he worked for them. So he's got the support of his teammates. He's got the their trust. So now it's just about, can he continue to work hard? Can he continue to develop? What areas of his game can he improve on, right? If it's the throwing motion, if that's decision making, if that's getting the ball and running it a little bit, where can he improve? But he's an easy kid to root for, right? And as much as John Rice Plumlee is kind of a sexy name, and he's SEC quarterback, it's really easy to root for Mikey Keene. And I agree with you. I hope he plays really well. I hope he makes it a really tough decision for Gus to figure out who he wants to be quarterback, because that must mean that both those guys are playing well. And whatever you think about his future, his performance, you gotta tip your cap to the kid for everything he did for UCF in 2021 against a lot of tough circumstances. I mean, he'll always have my respect for that.
Yeah, and you call him a game manager or whatever you want, all you want, but we just watched, in my eyes, a game manager win this conference the last 2 years in a row with Desmond Ritter. I don't think anybody, his freshman year, the year we blew them out at home, he didn't look anything spectacular. But here he is now in the combine going to the NFL, maybe a first couple round pick. Keene doesn't have the size that Ritter has, but he's got that, intangibles that he can win. And he's proven it. He beat the Gators in that game. It was a huge game for him. Hopefully that's a springboard going into this year. Now he's got some confidence coming back. I hope you said you hope that he makes it a tough decision for Gus. I hope he makes it an easy decision for Gus. I hope he goes out there and just plays fantastic, and there is no question going into the fall who the number 1 quarterback is, and it's Mikey Keene.
And to be fair, he didn't have his top receiver, and unless who we assumed was the top receiver in Jalen Robinson. He didn't have Bowser for a number of time as well, so he didn't have the great offensive weapons that we thought he'd have going in, and they still figured out ways to make it work. He made plays when he had to make plays, and again, he makes a huge play in the game against the Gators to O'Keefe for a touchdown that ultimately ends up with a nice win. So I agree with you. It's easy to root for that guy, right? It's easy to root for him. People want to bag on him because he's not this or he's not that, but I think he's easy to root for. So we will see, Mike. My number 5, in true fashion, I took some liberties with my number 5, Mike. Because my number 5 is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, and that is our offensive line. The offensive line, and I couldn't signal one of these guys out specifically because that's a group that just has to work as a unit, right? They have to be in sync together. They have to be synergized in order to be successful. But look, we saw at times last year the O-line, didn't play as well. Had some opportunities. Poor Mikey didn't get some protection at times. Running lanes weren't always open. We saw this offensive line kind of cobble it together and make it work. But this year we've got a bunch of guys coming back with some experience, Mike. So we got Matt Lee, who's arguably one of the best centers in the conference. Sam Jackson now returning for his super senior year. Palue is coming back for another season. And then we bring in 2 guys from the transfer portal, Ryan Swoboda and Tyron Grable, both veteran guys. Swoboda's like 6 foot, 200. Now he's 6'11", and a big giant mammoth human being. Plus we have Ed Collins, a guy who's got some experience, Mike. So I'm curious to see how this line comes together because we can't throw the football. We can't run the football without these 5 guys, whoever they are, blocking and making good decisions. Obviously, we lose Cole Schneider off that line. That's a pretty tough loss. But I'm curious to see how these guys all gel together because if the O-line is going to play lights out, then all this other offensive stuff we're talking about makes it happen a lot faster and makes things a lot easier. So my number 5 is really 5 guys. It's the O-line.
Yeah, for the last couple years, we've come into the season saying, this is going to be the best offensive line we've had ever, right? And it hasn't been the case, especially a couple years ago. Just was not good. But these guys now we've got the experience. I know you mentioned we lose Schneider, but Jackson's been here for a long time. Matt Lee now is a veteran on this team. He can be a leader on the offense. And these other guys that came in, the transfers, have a lot of experience too. So this should be a good group. But like you mentioned, offensive line is all about cohesiveness, knowing how the guy next to you is going to go. So this is what the spring is for, and it's going to be interesting because if these guys are playing well, we know we have the weapons. We know we have Bowser in the backfield who will make things easier for these guys, and we know we have the receivers on the outside. If you get Mikey Keene time to find somebody open, this could be a very good offense. And it starts with these guys up front.
Yeah, it was. I mean, look, I had like 17 names I wrote down. A couple of guys outside looking in. Devod Wilson, can he kind of step up? I know, we need kind of that playmaker in the back end. Can he be that guy, Mike? And then the tight ends. Kamor Gamble coming in, obviously. Grant Stevens bringing Alec Holler back. Can we use the tight end? Does Mikey have that little safety valve over the middle? How much can Gamble really help with that? So a couple of guys outside looking in, Mike. But look, I know spring practice isn't the most exciting thing. The schedule's already set, though. I don't think there's going to be any of those open practice sessions. If I looked at the schedule correctly, at least it's not denoted as of right now. So the only opportunity may just be the spring game. So hopefully our guys on the scene, Trace and Jason and Brandon and whatever guys coming out from the TV stations and Christian Simmons, whoever's there, if Elo's there from BGB. Hopefully they can get some good video to keep us all entertained over the next 5 weeks.
Yeah, because we're going to need it. I mean, we mentioned basketball's coming to an end this week. Baseball, although it's cranked up, it's not the same. We need some football in our lives, and this is it. And then once this is done, we're quiet for May, June, July, until August comes around and we got fall camp. So this is it. We get a little taste of it now and enjoy it while it lasts.
All right, Mike, that's our top 5. Again, tune in if you haven't checked back on some of the old Sons UCF live shows with Trace. We've gone position by position, had some guys coming on talking about those. I'm sure we'll have a more in-depth review of some of the spring stuff here in the next couple weeks. So make sure you are following along. We go live every Thursday, except for this week, 8 to 9 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Though coming up, Mike, you and I will go live to talk a little bit more about our Cow of the Week, Mike. That's I don't know. For me, that's one of the most exciting times. But what else is exciting? Are you ready for it? Manscaped is exciting, Mike. And we're excited that Manscaped has continued to partner with Sons of UCF. They've continued to sponsor our show, and we're so super grateful for that. And because they're such good partners, they want to help you out there too, Mike. So if you go to manscaped.com, promo code Sons of UCF, you get 20% off and free worldwide shipping. Over 4 million men, Mike, 4 million men trust Manscaped. We talked last week about the Lawnmower 4.0, just how sleek, how quiet, how sturdy it is, Mike. We talked a little bit about some of the other accessories there, but there's just so much good stuff. Again, you're going to want to check this out. You have so many options, so many things that are there for you. And if you need whatever you need to keep yourself fresh and ready, you never know when action's going to come your way. You got to be prepared for these things. Manscaped can help you out. The Lawnmower 4.0 can definitely help you out.
Yeah, the Lawnmower 4.0 has been fantastic. I use it all the time. But it's not just that. They have so many other products that come along with Manscaped. And we mentioned the ball toner and the crop preserver and the underwear, everything. The weed whacker for your nose. They've got so many different things. Even the T-shirts are cool. I like wearing the T-shirt that says "Your balls will thank you" all the time.
Yeah.
So you got to get to manscaped.com. Enter promo code Sons of UCF. Now, you may have heard that there may be other promo codes floating around.
Wait,
this is the one you need to use. I mean,
I've heard nothing
a lot
of
of
that.
radio stations, a lot of people promote Manscaped, but nobody here like us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to support the Sons of UCF team. We do a lot of work for you. We put out these shows every week. Help us out a little bit and use promo code Sons of UCF when you go on the website there. Save 20%. That's a big savings, man.
And you're getting a quality product too. That's the thing. We're not just selling you some drivel here. Again, the performance, the craftsmanship, the details on the 4.0 are fantastic. There's a guard length there, so if you want to figure out different lengths, you've got that option. Wireless charging system. It's electromagnetic, so it can help the battery last longer. So you're not just getting some like fly by night product, Mike. You're getting some really good stuff here. And again, they have a whole slew of things that you want to get. Plus, it's going to be safe. You're going to keep yourself safe. No injuries, no nicks, no emergency room visits. You're the Sons of USF. We are keeping you safe. And all you need to do is one final thing. Make sure you go to their site. You get 20% off. Again, Sons of UCF, your promo code. 20% off with free shipping. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job. Only with Manscaped. Coming up next, Cow of the Week.
Okay, Sons of UCF, both of you, you are the fun.
All right, let's get into Cow of the Week time. If you're new out there, Mike, Cow of the Week is we find something that is funny, that we want to make fun of, that is just silly, goofy, whatever, and we make fun of it. And we named it after our friends, the Cows. Have we decided, Mike, yet, by the way, the complete 180, what we're doing after we go to the Big 12? And are we still going to call it Cow of the Week? Are we going to do something different? Are we just leaving the cows behind? I mean, we got some time, I guess, to decide that. Maybe Oresco's Cow of the Week because he wants like $80 bajillion to leave the AAC. But have we decided what we're doing yet with Cow of the Week? Is it coming to an end?
The fact that you're asking me obviously says we have not decided. I don't know what we're going to do. Are they going to be considered our biggest rivals anymore? Will it be Cincinnati? Will it be what would we call it? The Bearcat of the Week? We can't call it that. I don't even know what name you would make up to make fun of a Bearcat because I don't even know what the heck a Bearcat is still to this day.
No one knows.
Houston Cougars, BYU Cougars.
We know you. We know you're big on Cougars.
I do like Cougars, but I don't know. For now, I guess we got to continue with Cow of the Week, right? It's been a staple on this show since episode 1. Here we are, episode 172. There's 172 different cows. Well, not different. Some people have repeated, but combine the two of us together, that's like 340 something cows, 344 cows. Something.
A lot of
cows, man.
A lot of carryover there for sure. Well, unless we get a sponsor, we'll sell out for anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
So you want a Manscaped ball of the week, whatever. We'll figure it out for you guys.
Nutsack of the week.
Here you go. There you go. See, these things just invent themselves. This is how basically every show meeting goes between Mike and I. It's just very similar.
This should be the show.
This is the show. All right. Well, I assume you have a real cow of the week or a nut of the week, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure you had a nut of the week too. But either way, let's just stick with cows.
All right. So the cow of the week this week will be me.
Oh.
Or the nut of the week is me. And it's not even for something I did, something I haven't done, or something I'm not going to do, because we are now in the month of March. As we know, March Madness is right around the corner. And last season, I put together probably, I think, the best thing I ever did for this show that we've done in 4 years. Me personally, the best thing I ever did was put together the bracket of 64 greatest play or moments in UCF football history. And I even came up with the videos, the matchups, the voting, all that stuff. I put a lot of time into that last season. It was a lot of fun to do, too. I enjoyed it. But the problem is, I did so good. I even did the, what's it called? The One Shining Moment video at the end of the tournament. And I put up all the highlights together. So, but the problem is I can't find a thing to do for this year that's going to top that or even come close to it. So I don't think I'm even going to bother this year to do anything. Plus, I'm going away for like 10 days right during the March Madness tournament. I'm not going to be able to post stuff for it. You want to take the mantle here and run with something? Do we have any other ideas? Wow. What are we going to do for the March Madness tournament 2022?
Well, I assume our friends at Three Night Bender are going to come out of the wood and do the Mafia tournament again, right? That seems to be the thing they do every year. So it's I mean, that's a not that it's tough to compete, but a lot of bracket tournaments going on. It's going to have to be something really unique if we're going to get back involved. It's a lot of time investment. It's a lot of work to get all that stuff to happen. Man, it's a great question. Those are some great questions. I don't know.
We did 64 plays. I mean, what would we do? 64 players, top 64 players ever. I don't know about that. 64 games. I mean, I don't know. But I don't think it's happening unless you guys come up with an idea and somebody else wants to kind of run it. I'm out for this year. I'm not doing it.
All right.
You're not paying me overtime this year, right?
I don't think so.
Last year.
No, I don't think we did. So, Mike's one and done. Wow.
So I'll be the cow. I did it last year. Maybe I'll just replay some of those from last year. I'll repost the same bracket. People will vote the same. There's only one play from this season that could crack the 64, right? And it's the O'Keefe touchdown there against the Gators. I don't think too many other plays from this season would even get into that bracket from last year, right?
No. I mean, there's probably some random Bowser run I'm forgetting about that was good, but no, not sort of 64 iconic plays. You would think that would be the one, right? I mean, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
No. So, and that also depends on the season we were having too, because the reason some of those plays were so big is because they led to us going to the Fiesta Bowl or us going to the Peach Bowl or things like that. So this year wasn't as big, but the O'Keefe player definitely would make it. I don't know what seed it would be. That would probably be a top, 6 or 7 seed, maybe, I think.
I mean,
it's not a top 4.
I could see something around like 64 top, like, a UCF sports related figures, right? Like a Dante, a Blake, a KZ, a George O'Leary, a Scott Frost, Danny White, President Hitz, Gene McDowell, Manny Seeger. Like, I could see something like that potentially. Just the sort of the Godfather tournament of the Godfather of UCF athletics. But I feel like that's a KZ runaway, no?
Yeah, especially if you're going to hold the voting on Twitter or Shaquem. I mean, they get a lot of votes too.
Call. Yeah.
We could do like 64 backups that didn't really play much. Obscure names. That could be fun. You'd have to be a real long-time follower to even know who some of those people are.
Yeah.
Right? Like that.
Figure engagement on that maybe. But maybe I mean, it would take a lot more. So this is a lot of work now. We could probably come up with a tournament bracket of our 64 best interviews.
Yeah, there you go.
And we'd have to play like snippets of them all and make sure they're all available because, largely half of them aren't on the interwebs anymore due to circumstances. But we could figure out a way to get some of those back out there, but that would be some work. And March Madness starts in like 4 days. And your boy's going to be going to some tournaments here the next couple of days. I mean, that could take some time. But maybe 64 best interviews?
Yeah, I mean, you have the master list. We've spoken to so many guys. I forget sometimes who we've had on and who we haven't had on, who we're supposed to have on and didn't come on. But if you send me the list, there's been over 64 of them, right? Some people are not even going to make it.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be some guys, some NIT tournament. I mean, Sean Magg, I don't know if he's getting in the field of 64.
I don't want to hurt any feelings either. I mean,
I just hurt Sean Magg's feelings.
To come on.
But, yeah.
They come on and they do the interview and, tell them they weren't even the top 64 interview that we've ever done on this Slowly podcast.
I see what you're doing there. Yeah, I see how that's working. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Leave it up to the listeners. What do they want to do? What can we do to make you guys happy? As if we don't provide you with enough entertainment throughout the week.
Well, we had Eric Burris, the weatherman, on once.
That's true.
Is he making it in?
Chantel McCabe? Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, Chantel McCabe did make it. Yeah. But I don't think she really wants to be on that. I think she just kind of
64 ladies of UCF.
That's going to get you in all kinds of trouble. I don't even know if that's an avenue. I mean, I feel like that's.
Just women's athletics. How's that? I don't.
Eric Lopez called. He wants your stick back. What are you doing?
We'd have to let Elo do it. Can we hire Elo?
I think Elo did that already once. By the way, I feel like that's something he did one time.
I think he ranked everybody. He ranked like the top coaches. He ranked the top. I think coaches in each sport, all around athletes, women's athletes, men's athletes. So it'd probably be easier for him. You just kind of whip up his Excel spreadsheet and rank them 1 through 64.
Let me do a quick search here. I'm gonna just call out some names. You tell me if these guys make your 64. Okay. Let me do some math here really quickly. See how many overall interviews we have. We got 90 if I'm doing the math right here. 91 if you add in Dawkins and I'm in here. Okay.
Oh, wow. So you got enough for an NIT tournament.
I do have enough for it. Okay, here we go. Dimitri Brim, field of 64, yes or no?
See, there's another problem is I don't remember what all these guys
That's a no then. If you don't remember, then for episode 88, Dimitri Brim.
There's just, okay, some of the names you're going to mention are not the biggest names, right?
Yes.
But some of those names, like some of these guys that didn't have as big a roles, some of them were the
Fantastic.
better interviews.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, they've all jumbled in my head. I can't tell you who said what.
Dimitri Brim was the interview. I remember you asked him because he's in Nebraska, you asked him if they still watched any UCF stuff, and he said, no, we're not allowed to. And you were like, not allowed to? Who won't let you watch it? And he was like, it's just not a good idea. And you said something like, cough if it's Shenander. And I believe he coughed, if I have that right. Episode 88, Dimitri Brim. It's a good one. You can't hear it, but it's a good one, Mike. Let me look here. Boy, there's some good ones. Jordan Ozerites, field of 64, yes or no?
He was one of the first ones.
Episode 25, yeah.
Nice guy. One of the biggest plays of that season, the interception against the Cows. But he's also part of that White Horse video I made.
Yes.
And we were discussing how O'Leary got that nickname, but I don't know if he's top 64 interviews of all time.
Wow. Okay. All right. Eric Kohler.
We love Eric Kohler.
We do.
He brings the energy. He brought the energy that day, too, on the interview.
He brings something.
He might make the tournament. I think he makes the tournament.
He makes something. Keith Tribble, one of our more controversial interviews. Ooh. Keith Tribble. Episode 82, by the way.
That was a UCF Mike special. I got us Keith Tribble because we had the same barber.
Do you guys still have the same barber, by the way?
I haven't got a haircut in 2 months. I haven't got a haircut since last year. So I think he goes there. I guess he still does. I've only saw him that one time when I was waiting for my haircut, and I saw him there.
Okay.
But I imagine he still does. He still lives in this area, I think. So
okay.
Possibly.
Jake Brown.
We had Jake Brown?
We did. He cursed up a storm, remember?
Oh, yeah. The explicit interview.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
And ever since then, we can't have our shows not say explicit, right? Because we had to do it that one time.
I don't know. Like if you actually read in the notes of each show, it says clean because I mark each of them clean unless they're not clean. But yes, in theory, we got labeled for Jake Brown. But it was a good interview. I mean, his phone broke up the entire time, if I remember too. But it was a good interview. I like Jake Brown.
All
right. Well, maybe that's an option. Maybe we'll figure out how to make that work. We've taken too much of your time up. If you guys are into that, let us know. Maybe we'll figure it out.
What about O'Leary?
He's a 1 seed, no?
Yeah, I know, but he's 2 interviews. Now, what if the finals came down to O'Leary 1 versus O'Leary 2? How do you do?
Build a statue.
Is that possible? Or does he just get in once? for the 2 interviews.
I think he's just a one. He gets in one time. I mean, yeah, I think he gets. I mean, because you know, UNC Charlotte and UNC Chapel Hill both get in the tournament, right? 2 different schools. I think he gets it. He's a 1 seed though, no?
Yeah, he's definitely a 1 seed. Okay, let's just do that. Who are the 4 1 seeds?
Jesus, 1 seeds. Wow, man.
Well, there is one. Are you putting Maury Povich as a 1 seed?
I don't know if he's 1 seed worthy because that was a wide interview, a lot of twists and turns in that one. I don't know if he's a 1 seed. He's up there though. He's 1 seed just in name recognition. Same with the Golick, name recognition.
Golick.
But in terms of like what you got out of him, I mean, Golick was just turned on the media charm, and we were just sitting there. I feel like Jeff Godfrey, the episode 21, our first ever interview, he was super honest. He was doing O'Leary impressions, telling good stories. I think Jeff Godfrey might be a sneaky 1 seed.
Yeah. That's a question for our loyal fans that have listened to all these things. Give us your top 4 interviews that we've done. Who are they? Who would be your 4 1 seeds if we were to do this tournament?
I've always loved the Taj McGowan interview when he describes the touchdown against Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how excited he was, how fun he was in that one. Trey Nixon was fantastic, too, by the way. Remember Trey?
Yeah.
That's one of our most downloaded episodes, if I still remember correctly.
That's right. You know who would be able to do this for us? Cost Seg Advisor, James Reed, I'm sure, has a list of his 4. J.P. Gilbert, those guys have heard pretty much all of them. Mario. So give us
Nelson.
your top 4.
We need a committee. Nelson.
Nelson.
We're going to have like a playoff committee. We need these guys to seed the tournament for us. You know, and then we're going to lock them in a conference room somewhere in Dallas and have them go out with seeding.
Ooh, what about top 64 Sons of UCF fans? Can we do that? Who are the guys that are most engaged? We put a bracket together of those.
Isn't that pretty much
we have 64 fans.
Isn't that what 3 Bender does?
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, well, like guys like Nelson are not even on Twitter.
It's probably a smart move on his part, by the way. Mm-hmm. You're not missing much.
Right. And whatever if they do that again, the 3 Bender guys. The first year they did it, I think I was like a 15 seed. Last year I moved up. I forget what I was, somewhere in the middle there, like a 8 or 9. I think I was in an 8-9 matchup. Did I move up again? Am I improving here?
I hope. I don't even get in the tournament.
How high can I go?
Yeah, I don't even make the tournament because I tweet from our son's account, and I think the rules last year were you had to have your own account or had to have your name on the account or something. So I'm not even eligible. So I think you. Here's the thing. I don't want to say this out loud, Mike, but I'm going to. Who's a higher seed? You or Trace? I said it. That's right. I said it. I asked the question. People are asking.
I think Trace was higher than me last year, was it?
Was he? I don't
go back.
Recall.
I think we were supposed to match up in the second round if we both lost. I think in the first round. I gotta say Trace is probably a higher seed, Twitter wise. He's got more followers than me. He posts a lot more than me. He retweets a lot more than me. He does the walk and talks.
Yeah,
I gotta tell you, as a Twitter personality, Trace kicks my ass.
He's good. A lot people like Trace. A lot of people love Trace.
Trace. Nobody doesn't. I mean, maybe a couple people.
I can think of one person that doesn't love Trace. People love Trace.
Maybe one person doesn't like Trace.
I think single-handedly, he's become like, when people think of Sons of UCF now, I think they think of Trace. I think you and I worked our way out of a job on that. Which was,
how did that happen?
I don't really know. We should have thought about that more.
He's a tripod. I mean,
that's, well, you know what?
That can't hurt.
Dale Whitaker was a good interview, but he wasn't very exciting.
Right.
All right, we need 1 seeds. We'll figure this out. I'll do some research here. I guess we can go on downloads, but again, some of that stuff we don't have records for anymore, and some of that bookkeeping.
Ooh. Top 64 Trace walk and talks.
Have there been 64?
64 of those yet?
Well, let's see. The live show has been on for, I think we're coming up on like 56 or so.
Plus those pregame shows that we did. Do those count?
Who's archiving that, though? Are you going back over his Twitter account to look at all those?
I mean, number one. Well, okay, give me your top 4 Trace walk and talks. He's got celebrities jumping in there now sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he does all kinds of things. Is the Elo one a top 4 walk and talk that he did? I mean, there's one where he's going on escalators. That's another one.
Yeah.
He's got some famous ones.
I mean, look, he brought the Griffin twins in for a walk and talk. That's got to be a 1 seed. I mean, that was a solid one. I think he brought Robert 2 letters 2 words in on one. You know, he's
all the trespassing he does. You know,
it's fair.
He did it on Cincinnati's field. He did it on Houston's field. He did one where he was. Did he do one from the hammock? I don't know. I already talked about doing a hammock. He did one where he started jogging at the end when he was trash talking me in the 5K last year. So
he was walking across the highway one time, one of those like overpass walks. I think somewhere in Sanford. I felt like he did one from like a historical monument at one point too. Like I forget where he was. Yeah. Was he at like Dealey Plaza or like Mount Rushmore or something? I could have sworn he had one of those. Soccer
they get better and
stadiums.
better every week somehow. I don't know how he does it.
He did it. He did one from Colorado State Football Stadium for some reason. I think he did one from Indiana's football stadium. I mean, that's you know what?
Did one from a Dolphin game, I think, one time.
Man, it's gonna be some research, but that. Well, here's the problem. That's only going to get him more popular, and it should force us out even more. I mean, we might want to be careful with this, you know.
But I think that might be the winner. I think that's what we have to. Maybe we don't have to do 64. Maybe we do top 32.
The other option is, do we have a top 32 UCF Mike top 5 list?
Ooh, have I done 32 of them?
I don't know. Top 5 nuts, probably. Top 5 karaoke songs. I mean, there's
top 5 Celia Cruz songs. I think that was my favorite.
There's some options. You had like 3 top 5s last week that all intertwined somehow.
Mm-hmm. Top afros. You're right.
Yeah, here's the sad thing. We're not going to do any of this.
No. This was all set up just so I can tell you guys, I'm going on vacation. I'm not doing any of this work. Somebody else do it this year. I did it all last year, so it's on you. It's on Trace to put it together.
All right, fair enough. So we're not doing any of this. But all right, here's my cow of the week, Mike. News today. I don't really know why or how or who. It just doesn't feel right. Calvin Ridley got suspended for a full year for using some sort of the Hard Rock app to bet on some games. Calvin Ridley, if you don't know, is a wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons. He took some time off to deal with some mental health stuff, put in like a 3-5-8 parlay or something like that, including his team, the Falcons. He did not win any money or a whole lot of money, and he got suspended for 17 games for betting. There's no indication he got inside info that anyone threw the game, but he's down for an entire season. For some context, Ray Rice assaulted his fiance. He got 2 games. Adrian Peterson, felony child abuse. He got 6 games. Greg Hardy, domestic violence against his girlfriend. He got 4 games. Zeke Elliott hit a female. He got 6 games. Josh Gordon has been suspended for the better parts of like 3 years for drug addiction. And Calvin Ridley placed a FanDuel, and he got 17 games, Mike.
They have to come down hard on these guys. Otherwise,
I know
they're going to have these people, betting on themselves and betting against their teams. And who the heck knows what kind of Pandora's box they open up if they allow it one time. So I see why they do it. I mean, you're saying that it shouldn't compare to.
It just doesn't feel. That feels like a really harsh penalty versus some of the other items. I agree, it's got to be punishable, but that just feels like a really harsh penalty. Basically, $1,500 in bets cost him $11 million in salary. Those are terrible odds, by the way.
And he's stupid for. Did he have his own account?
He did. Yes, he did.
What an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like one of the first things they tell you, I think, when you enter the NFL. You cannot gamble on the NFL games. They can't play fantasy football. They can't do any of that stuff. So, I mean, have a friend have an account, and if you want, just pay him that way. There's definitely ways around it. You gotta be an idiot to do it the way he did it, and he got caught, so he's gonna pay the price. $11 million he's gonna lose out on. That sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that it's a penalty item, and he should be sat down for a period of time. It just feels like particularly when the NFL is in FanDuel's the official sports betting partner. What is DraftKings? Every day on Laboratory here, we're the official sports betting partner of the NFL, right? Like, there's gambling and all that stuff everywhere around it. And to your point, it doesn't make it right. But that 17 games, it just feels like a lot. It feels like there's an opportunity to lean that out a little bit or something. I don't know.
Lucky they didn't Pete Rose him and blackball him completely.
Yeah. No, you're
really would have got people's attention.
Yeah. Yeah, it just feels weird.
I mean, the NFL's in Vegas now, and they got any sign they see of people gambling, they're going to have to do something like this, just so it doesn't happen more often. And if it was a 2-game suspension, I think people would just be gambling all the time.
Yeah. Well, I understand you have to curtail the behavior, and so I agree that there's got to be, but like half a year, a game per bet placed. I don't know. There's got to be a better system for that. all the whole season just felt, because I thought, to your point, it was a Pete Rose situation where Pete Rose had the direct ability to impact the outcome of the game because he was managing his team, right? So he could have done something to impact the outcome of the game. Calvin Ridley not playing, not being around the team, was he in the position to know that, Matt Ryan was going to throw a late game pick? You know what I mean? Like, I think some of that stuff he didn't have as much control over, which is why I would be in favor of it not being as harsh a penalty, but I understand they have to do something from a penalty standpoint.
Yeah.
Well,
he's going to learn a tough lesson.
Look at Mike. Mike's about the tough love. Wow. Tough love, Mike.
Yeah.
I love tough love.
I don't feel bad. He's still making millions of dollars, right? Not this year, but
yeah. At some point he will make millions of dollars, and
hopefully he's not chasing that salary money by placing more bets
for
this next year.
You would hope at least get an alias or get a friend to do it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Call up Sons UCF. UCF Mike is there to help you out. But you were wrong about one thing, buddy. An hour 45-ish so far on this one, so we were able to ramble on for 2 hours over nothing, including the last 30 minutes where we discussed Trey Strelko's walk and talks and whether or not that is a tournament bracket worthy item. But we'll ponder all that. We'll get back to you and all that. But here's what you got to do for us really quick. Help us out. Go follow us on social media stuff everywhere, Sons of UCF. YouTube, we have a contest working. I have giveaways. If we get to 450 subs, we will then do some sort of a raffle for one of the subs to win one of these super cool tumbler items we have. So make sure you follow us on YouTube. Our website, twonightsmedia.com. I may or may not have posted something recently on twonightsmedia.com. Spoiler alert.
Wow.
I may or may not have written something on there. We're trying to figure out how to use that vehicle. We haven't used it very much. Mike and I promised you some content there and have done nothing since April 21st of 2021. 2 posts have gone up in the last couple of weeks, just testing some stuff out. So twonightsmedia.com, maybe we'll find a way to use that vehicle more often. And then Wednesday this week, a live show with the star of the Sons of UCF, Trey Strelko, and lowly Adam and Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I'm number 3 now on this list.
I think I'm number 3 actually, because so Trace is like the respected, veteran newsman, right? You're like the cut up, screw off, like you may just flash a nipple during the show. I got nothing. I'm in between. I feel like I could just lift right out of the show. I feel like next week we could have somebody from the Dudes on the Mall hosting, and no one would notice.
You're a straight man, but you drive the bus. I mean,
that's all I'm here for. Yeah, I could just I'll just hit the buttons.
Important goal. That's an important job there.
But the audience doesn't see that. They don't know that. You know that, and Trace knows that. But I feel like
And if we factor in Addison doing her spots, you might drop down to 4.
I'm probably 4 on that. I mean, my dear wife is not even the sounder anymore, but she's probably up there. There's some longtime fans who remember her. So I'm probably way down that list. I think we had UCF Biggie co-host the show. I'm sure he's ahead of me too.
Oh crap.
Yeah.
Well, but you're like. You make everybody better. That's your job.
Look at this. And all the love in the world. Yeah. Right. Well, perfect. I'm Scott Skiles. I take it. I'm just the guy who throws the assists all day. That's fine.
It's best for you if you're the least popular, I guess, because that just shows that you do the job of making everybody else that much better. So,
wow.
I appreciate you.
Shit, I'm going to put that on my business card. I don't have those.
Kind of hurts that Trace has jumped ahead of both of us. But
yeah.
It is what it is.
He's a star, though. Tripod.
Yeah, he's a star.
He's out there. He's a man of the people. I mean, he's at all the events. He's got the pressers. He's living in Greg Lovelady's office. I mean, he's the star.
You're right. He's got the access, man. Nobody's more connected than Trey Strelko.
That is very, very true. Hopefully, he's listening to this part of the show. I know he skims these things. So Trace, we'll find out if Trace heard this or not. And you'll find that out on Wednesday when we go live again, 8 p.m. We don't want to conflict with the basketball games on Thursday, so we will be live Wednesday. I think we have BJ Taylor coming up. We'll preview some more stuff with him, and it'll be a good old time. So everybody out there, have a fantastic week. Everybody be safe. Take care of each other, and we will talk to you all later. Until then, go Knights.
Charge on.